Finding the perfect wedding venue is one of the most exciting steps. And it's challenging to find that venue that is just the two of you. And I always say, trust your gut. It will guide you, it will help you, and you will get, hopefully, a feeling when you go and visit a venue or when you see it online or when you see a video of it, you go, oh, okay, that's the one. And the most fun thing is that when you have this booked in, everything is going to start feeling so real because then you have this location where you can imagine it all and it all starts getting quite fun. Welcome to Bride and Joy. My name is Amanda Thompson and we have so much fun in store for you today. We're talking venue and how you can find what it is that you're looking for and what you need to think about. So stay tuned. Your venue does set the tone for the vibe of your day. It is important to find and lock in a venue that does reflect your personality, your style. Are you fun? Do you want it open? Do you want it closed? Do you want to be able to have a lot of people there? Do you want to have less people there? These are things you need to think about before you want your venue. So if you haven't listened to our episode 12 months to your wedding planning, then jump in and listen to the tips there before you get started on finding your venue. So trying to figure out what it is that you want, you start thinking if it's a chateau in South of France. Maybe you're the romantic type, or maybe you want some floral vibes or up in Provence, or maybe you want a modern art gallery, or maybe even a very small, petite, charming little villa by the sea. There are countless options to consider, and here are some tips for you to find a venue that feels more like you. First of all, define your vision and style. Start with a theme. Think about the kind of atmosphere you want for your wedding. Are you envisioning romantic, modern, chic, playful? Is it a big celebration or is it something small? Is it something intimate or is it lavish and huge? Is your style classic, modern, timeless, chic, or eclectic? This will help you narrow down. This will help you narrow down your venue choices. And maybe you want a building with a lot of history. I don't know. Start thinking about if you want it to be inside or if you want it to be outside. Decide whether you want a celebration that is outdoors. Maybe you want that starry sky venue with an outdoor dinner, sparkling stars, and, the amazing vibe that, yes, I'm going to mention it again, South of France can give you. But really, truly, I do mean it. Or it might be that you like a garden-themed wedding vibe and maybe an aperitivo overlooking the sea. Or maybe you want a ballroom indoor vibe with a ballroom dinner. And also keep in mind and bear with me when I talk about this, because when we're there, being your wedding planner, we do take care of it for you. No, I can't stop the rain, but please do think about it, because if you haven't thought about it, then you don't know how to deal with it. If the weather will change, most probably it will be great because the sun does pop out way more in southern, warmer countries. But if not, then make sure that you have a rain plan. Then start thinking about budget considerations. It's challenging to know what can be hidden costs for your wedding. And of course, when we've done this many, many times, then it's so much easier for us to help you think about it. But start thinking about hidden costs. And this does mean, so for example, if you're thinking, I would like a marquee wedding, have you thought about that you need to rent a floor? Maybe, or most probably in many cases. Have you included heating? Have you included walls to the marquee? Have you included tables, chairs, tablecloths, flowers, all these elements that have to go in for you to be able to have the wedding and not necessarily just the marquee itself? These can be hidden costs that you don't necessarily think about when you're looking at the big numbers, and then you know how everything is going to go, and then you start getting into the wedding planning phase, and then you haven't thought about those details, which means these are hidden costs that pop up at a later stage, which makes it way more challenging for you to suit and tailor it to your budget than if you'd known these things in advance. When we show you a venue, we always show you venues at the beginning that are tailored to your budget. Okay, maybe not always, but sometimes our clients do want something that is a bit more than what they were thinking about. Then you decide which one you want to move forward with, and then you go with it. Some venues do include packages of menus. So this means they come with a set menus of what they deliver. So make sure that you know what they are, what the prices are, or are there any additional costs. So the difference is that some venues do come with everything included and other venues come with things that are not included, which means Make sure you know what the venue has included and if you have everything in, so you know what to move on with. Start thinking about the capacity and your guest list. Now that you've written your guest list, sure that the venue you decide on can fit everyone that you want to have there comfortably. It means not squeezing in 125 and people are sitting like this, but it does mean that it can fit everyone that you want to have there. The people that are most important to you, of course. And then start looking about if the venue offers flexibility. Can you move around? Is there any space you can be? Can you have a aperitivo there? Can you have the reception there? Can you have the ceremony there? These are elements that you want to consider. If you would like to have an outdoor ceremony, then that would be a great option if you're choosing a chateau that has that and has the space for it. And there are quite a bit of different types of venues that you can start looking into. One is historic venues. These can be modern historic venues. These can be older buildings with a lot of history, and maybe that is the vibe that you're looking for. This can be museums, old mansions, castles. It can be preserved historical buildings. These buildings often carry timeless charm and can tie into your cultural heritage. And particularly if they do reflect the history of your family or your region. Then there are art galleries and cultural centers. So for couples who do appreciate contemporary aesthetics, a bit of a modern refinement, maybe a clean design, these are great. Open spaces, large windows, often a lot of light coming in, are great for your pictures, natural lights, of course. And they're often a very unique blank canvas for your wedding design, and it's a lot of fun to create within it. Then you have the marquee wedding. If you do want a marquee wedding, then start thinking about where do you want to have it, who's setting it up, who's taking it down, who's putting in all the stuff that needs to go inside your marquee. Is that you or is that someone else? And if it's someone else, please tell them what to do, make lists for them. And remember that you have to rent in all the furniture and all the other details for you to be able to have that marquee wedding that you want to have. Other ones are religious or spiritual venues. And maybe you're looking to have your ceremony in a mosque or in a church, or maybe you want to have your ceremony outdoors. Make sure to answer these questions before you decide on the venue, because that will make it so much easier for you to decide on the venue that's actually linking towards your vision. And especially before you get started on your venue research. And if you're looking for outdoor venues, then botanical gardens, they're absolutely amazing and there are so many good options. Then there are other parks, vineyards, and beaches. These are excellent choices if you're looking for an outdoor venue, especially if you love nature and you want a stunning outdoor backdrop. And there are so many venues to choose from, and you will definitely know when you see it. Then start thinking about if you want to include any specific traditions. Do you come from a culture where they do something special? Or maybe your grandmother is from the Caribbean. Maybe they do it in a special way there. Or maybe your grandfather is from Ireland and you wear a kilt. If your culture does include special rituals or ceremonies, such as maybe a traditional dance or ceremonial feast, or a clothing and attire that is within that color, ensure that your venue can accommodate these practices. And this goes for especially outdoor venues. Some venues have very specific rules when it comes to outdoor noise. So you maybe have to move indoors after a certain time. So make sure to check that out before you lock it in. And if you're looking at a venue, some do have a list of providers that you have to choose from, and so make sure that you check that before you start bringing in a caterer. Maybe that caterer hasn't worked there before. Maybe that's not allowed to have that caterer there. Then that's not an option. And especially if you're incorporating any special foods or cultural foods, performers, or family traditions, make sure that the venue will allow this, that they will allow your suppliers to bring these in. So as much as I do say that you can find a lot online, it will maybe give you a gut feeling on one or two, but then if you can, make sure that you go and physically visit it, because it will give you a very different perspective and a very different vision for what you can do, what you can be, how you can do it there when you see it in real life. And a little tip here is that if you can't physically visit the venue and you feel like you're in a rush to lock it in, then ask the venue if you can actually tour it. And another thing to think about is If your guests, especially for destination weddings, I will do another episode on this for you, but especially when it comes to destination weddings and you're flying in guests, maybe from all over the world or maybe from one specific airport, make sure that airport can actually bring in guests from where your guests are flying from. So if, for example, you want to get married in south of France, make sure to check that there is a relatively big airport close by, so the guests don't have to first fly for 10 to 15 hours to get to France from the US, for example, and then maybe have to drive another 3 to 4 hours by car. If they do, then make sure that maybe you've booked transportation for them so it's easier, because it is an idea to think about time differences, and if your guests are flying in super tired, maybe they haven't slept on the plane, which does mean that some of them do go over with a red eye, which is not the best foundation for a great wedding. So, in my opinion, if you are planning a destination wedding, I do recommend that you don't book a venue that is more than 90 minutes away, because it will make it way more challenging for your guests to be able to get there. It also just makes everything way easier. Also, when they're flying home on the last day, they may be tired from 3 to 4 days of events. What do I know? And then that will make it so comfortable for them. Then, if they have to drive another 3 to 4 hours to then get to the airport, jump on a boat, and it just accessibility is so important and so underestimated. It's so easy to fall in love with a venue, and then you realize you haven't thought about how to get there or how to leave the venue. Make sure that this is considered before you choose it. And last but not least, do you think about the atmosphere and the ambience? Does the venue have a character that you love? Does it have something that pulls you in, that is the vibe that you're looking for your wedding day? Does it need light and sound? Is it easy for catering to arrive? And what is it that you love about the venue? And what is it that you think is special to you? Talking about these questions before you actually book them in, especially with your partner, so you're not just doing it alone, will give you an idea of which venue, especially if you've gone to maybe 2 or 3. Then talk about these questions and make sure that you start thinking about which one of these you liked and why. And talk about it together. That's the fun part of it, doing it together. All in all, choosing a venue that has the right vibe for you is a gut feeling based on all the practical parts of it. But if you do love it, then go for it. It's just going to sit there being a regret if you don't go for that venue that you initially wanted. And does it have a dream garden for the outdoor ceremony that you're looking for? Or does it have the columns, the classical architectural columns that you can sit below, where you can enjoy with all your amazing people? It's all about creating a meaningful space where your style aligns with what you want and who you are, and where all you and your loved ones can enjoy a very special day. Don't be scared of going outside the box to get the day you want, and always choose to do it your way. Bring in your style, your taste, your vibe, and that is what makes it you. And that is what your guests will remember. And a little tip, when they see that you're enjoying your wedding day, then they will be able to enjoy it so well. They won't remember if the food was good, if the cocktails were amazing. It's a bonus. But don't get caught up in those details. They won't think about if it rained, but they will think about how your wedding day made them feel. And if you choose a wedding venue that has your vibe, then you can't go wrong. Make sure to subscribe down below and don't miss another episode.